Tamil Nadu has long been one of the industrial engines of India, from automobiles to electronics to textiles to manufacturing. But the next decade won't be defined by scale. It will be defined by intelligence. Artificial intelligence is rewriting productivity. Manufacturing is becoming data-driven, and still skill requirements are evolving faster than curricula. In this scenario, can Tamil Nadu move from being an industrial powerhouse to becoming an innovation powerhouse? Today's conversation is about that transition. Let me introduce our panelists. Cecil Sundar is head of data and AI at Microsoft. He works at the intersection of enterprise transformation and emerging technologies. He brings a view from the front lines of how AI is actually being deployed across sectors. Welcome, Cecil. Sasikumar Gendham is a president of Electronics Industries Association of India. It's a critical time for the sector that he represents, with global supply chains shifting and India positioning itself as a manufacturing hub. He brings the ground reality of what it takes to scale electronics and advanced manufacturing in India. Welcome, sir. My first question is to Cecil. Everybody is talking about AI, and you are part of big tech.
Yes.
So what are the companies that are actually implementing it today? Where is AI delivering measurable productivity?
What are the countries you asked?
What are the enterprises, companies?
Yeah. So let's start with what AI is doing. AI is, artificial intelligence is not a technology per se. What we all have to understand is it's a platform. Just like when the electricity was there, steam engines were there, there was a platform shift that is happening. What it means is there is not a single enterprise or a sector or a division that will adopt AI, because every single productivity, every single revenue generating activity or healthcare, agriculture, any domain you take will be built on the foundation of this platform. Whether even if it's energy, it will be built on the foundation of AI. So it's not that AI is somewhere on the top we are trying to search. It is a part and parcel of every single activity we do, starting with when we, your interaction with digital media, to when you go to office, your productivity, how the office is creating the process and generating, delivering product, developing product. Every single activity will be governed by the AI. So there should not be any doubt that AI is somehow adopted by enterprise, or AI is somehow being discussed in the boardroom. It's already there as a platform, and everything will be built on the foundation of AI, not now, in future for next 10 years at least. And then you will see a leap into quantum technology. So that is how we should see AI. There's not a single domain or vertical that AI will not touch. Start from agriculture to healthcare to manufacturing. Everywhere AI is going to be front and center of every activity.
There is a concern that India is on the consumer side of this AI platform. So will we be able to create at a global level anytime soon?
Yeah, I think that's the most challenging conversation we have to have. We are always consuming, whatever technology is there, whatever products that has been available to us, it's all coming from Western countries, right? So we are at a position that because this intelligence has become a commodity in AI. So what is AI doing is it has made intelligence as a commodity. And it also, the models are available to each and everyone from any part of the world to consume. And I also mentioned any product development, any efficiencies that needs to be generated, any healthcare benefits that needs to be augmented to the public will always based on AI. So this is the phenomenal opportunity our country has. The phenomenal opportunity the state has. What I mean by that is, because the models are available to anyone, starting from the nook and corner of the village to the urban centers, you can build products on top of it. So this is an opportunity for us to, kind of capitalize, create products that can be, first, create products for consuming locally, then the product can also scale globally. So India has to become a consumer-driven economy. The reason why I'm telling is, think about US, China, all the developed nations, they are first consumer-driven. So if you want to be a developed nations, if we want to be developed nations, number one thing we have to do is build a product and services that you can consume locally. And AI gives you a tremendous opportunity. Number two, while we are building the product, you build for global scale. Then you think about monetization. So that is how the stages are set. But the true opportunity is right now, today, if not yesterday, for us to start building products. The answer is absolutely yes, you can do that, yes.
Electronics manufacturing is often considered as it is driven by the assembly chain. So how do we move up the value chain into design and innovation?
So first, thank you, Bejo, for having me here. And I would also like to say my special thanks to Madam Lakshmi Subramanian for inviting me to be at this very important day. We were talking about Tamil Nadu's Leadership Summit and also the way forward for the state. Electronics decisively plays a very, very important role in the state's future. As a matter of fact, about 10% of global electronics today are produced in India, and of the 10%, half of that, almost very close to half of that, comes from this very own state called Tamil Nadu. And if you really talk about exports to the tune, almost about $15 billion worth of exports is happening from our very own state. So which means we are leading in electronics. We have started the leadership journey, but I think it's not enough of what we do, but we also have to think about what we have to do, and that's your question. And which direction are we moving? Like any other nation, I think India also started, and Tamil Nadu has also started on this electronics journey to be the assemblers of the world. We started this all the way back in our days when Nokia and all of these companies started making phones way back in 2005. But then the second wave started in 2015. That was also like rebirth and reassemble the whole supply chain of electronics and all that. But then today, if you see what has happened from 2015 to 2026, as I said, Tamil Nadu has really become #1 position. India has taken 10% of global manufacturing and supply of electronics. And at the same time, India has really become the second largest destination for mobile phones manufacturing for the entire world. So which means it is important that we really become a hardware nation, a product nation, for us to have a very decisive place in manufacturing in the world map. Having said that, it's not just enough we produce end products. We will have to produce components for this end product. That's where the real value addition comes from. Because end product assembly gives you a max, say like 10 or 15% of the value add, but the component assembly or component manufacturing is where the real value add increases all the way from between 10 and 15, goes up to 25 and 30. I don't think we can aim to be a nation that can make like 60, 70% of entire value add in our own country, because that's not even China has achieved. So therefore, I would say if we can reach a level of 50%, that would be phenomenal. So which means taking us from 10, 15 to a level of 25, 30 needs components. And taking to a level from 25, 30 going all the way up to 40, 45, we need design and development, which means we need to have our own products. And if you have to cross that 50% level, that is when really we need to have design development and IPs, which means products designed by Indian companies where IPs are residing in our own countries. And that's where I think Tamil Nadu is also aiming to be there in the space of IP generation, design and development, and that's clearly the focus of the government.
Can I add a point
yes,
to that?
sure.
So you talked about the development phases itself, right?
Yeah.
And the question you asked is how the AI can influence all these things. This is exactly where we should adopt
Yep.
in an accelerated way how AI can start with design, how it can simplify and accelerate the design cycle itself. When you think about chip design, EDA is the major piece, electronic design automation, right? What we are now doing, what NVIDIA's and AMD's, Micron's, everybody is doing is infusing AI in the design phase to accelerate the design cycle. So that the opportunity, is how fast you can take it to the market. So in the speed in which you can get to the market kind of creates barrier to your competition too. So that is what I'm telling. We cannot continue to think about this is the historical cycle we operate. That's something I really want to emphasize. When we are competing against, let's say, even the China plus one strategy we have, right? We already have that. But how do we attract that investment into India is now the velocity in which you can deliver the product and the speed in which you can innovate. So I'm trying to tie the question you asked and what my friend was talking about is, this is a phenomenal opportunity for us to adopt AI to do all the cycles, through the different cycles that process steps we have, to make India, not Tamil Nadu, but India as a #1 manufacturing hub for the China plus one strategy the world is going to adopt, right? It's untenable for China to continue to push for larger manufacturing, and the companies have to diversify, and this is the opportunity for us to grab. But I think the larger question we need to ask as a country is, are we infusing AI into this process where we need acceleration, where we need innovation, because the intelligence, as I mentioned, has become a commodity, right? So that is the opportunity you're talking about. I hope, you know.
Tamil Nadu is at a sweet spot here. It has a very strong IT services base and it has very strong manufacturing base. So how can we blend it in a specific way, which is applicable to the state?
So you're thinking about manufacturing services and
Manufacturing. Both bases are very strong.
both. So I think we have to see it as a two different verticals by itself, right? Manufacturing is completely, we can create a factory, an automated factory. Now robotics is in the deployment. Humanoids are coming in its way. So for manufacturing, I think the better opportunity right now is to continue to adopt robotics and humanoids to automate some of the processes, and I mentioned AI should be a process to that. So the larger challenge will be for services sector. So I think that is where my concern is too, because US is it's a leading indicator. AI is going to, make no mistake about it, AI is going to automate your entry-level jobs. What it means to the graduates that we are grooming or producing is over a period of time, these jobs will not be there. So what will be there is jobs that requires innovation, value add, and jobs that are going to, for example, healthcare, nursing, agriculture. These are the areas where job will be predominantly scaling up. But in services sector, what I am more recommending is, can you create your talent pool, skill set, into AI-based value add, into agentic AI and AI solutions. Number two, services sector cannot be followers for Western companies. Can services company become a judgment organization? So what I mean by judgment organization is, you're not just taking the requirements and coding it, but can we be really consultative in selling ideas The time is not to address the needs, the time is for us to create needs. So there are two different things. So if you take an idea and sell it to those companies, where you're already providing services, you have a tremendous opportunity to innovate the service sector. So I'm seeing it two different pillars, but both can come together through automation and value-added services.
My question is to Sasikumar. Should industry have a stake in designing curricula along with the universities to make our students ready for the jobs?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like the journey begins from when they're in high schools. That is where you really seed the thought, and that's when you bring all the innovation, the mindset of innovation at least. And that's if you talk about countries, take a reference of countries, successful countries like Korea or Japan or Taiwan, that's exactly the model that they have followed, where we have the intervention of innovation thinking coming all the way at their high school levels, and then when they come to diploma levels or graduates, that's when, like it really becomes a passion and a purpose. And India is doing towards that. I think we have a lot of actions toward that direction. But at least in my view, having also been in the industry for a long time, I can say that, the disconnect or the distance between academia, what is being taught versus what is the industry's need, I think there's still a lot of gap that is available. So we'll have to bridge the gap. And of course, associations like us play a role there in bridging the gap. And today, the other way of bridging the gap is also the startup ecosystem. I think they play a very pivotal role because startups, they have great ideas of product design and development. And organizations, they have all the capabilities to produce these products. So which means if you kind of get them all together, both the startups as well as large organizations, I think that would be a great fusion for Tamil Nadu and also for India to flourish as a nation towards product design, development, and serving to the whole nation. So therefore, I would definitely say it's not just about anymore being a country that can produce, because as he mentioned, that could be done by dark rooms. Today we're hearing about dark rooms where there is 0 people producing entire product, and that is possible. That maybe that's also coming to India at some point in time. But then if you look at people at the level of where you'll have to have the intellects, which is all the engineers and designers and all of that, I don't think that could be replaced by automation, like at any time soon. Maybe the entry-level jobs and the basic jobs could be replaced by automation, but not really the ones that needs complete thought process, creativity. I mean, that's the uniqueness of human minds, right? So therefore, I would say for industries, it is extremely important that we get to the universities, colleges, diplomas, ITIs as early as we can, and make sure that, that we kind of nurture them for our own benefits of the society. Yeah.
I just want to add that. So I think our education system, we have been syllabus or curriculum oriented so far, right? So your question is, can the industry and universities can partner? So that is how the cluster operates. In most of the Western countries, where I studied there, and the best of the funding comes from the industry to the institutions, correct? Yeah. So what it does, it creates a cluster of innovation. So can we adopt this model? Absolutely, we should. But industries should not be chasing just a profit. Right? It's not a CSR activity per se. I don't think CSR activity per se is going to address this issue. But can we establish chairs in these institutions? And can there be enough funding to the professors who are generating these patents? And professors also should be a mentor, because AI doesn't need curriculum to be repeated and taught. Right? So students will continue to learn by themselves in an accelerated way. But most of the teachers and professors should be peer reviewed for their own creativity and their own mentorship. So this is not like a step function. It is a dramatically changing conversation we need to have between academia and the industry. And then only you can think about, can industry and academia collaborate? The answer is yes, but do we have a process to collaborate? Can we pick some benchmark model that is working well, and then institute some chairs, give funding to the universities? And those are the things that we need to think about, if we can get there. Yeah.
What are the top 3 skills that you think would matter in the next 5 years?
I think foundationally everybody needs to know AI. It's not that there is no option for AI. First start with technical things, right? Then the idea of creativity. The skill can be, number one, I think will be very beneficial for everybody. Can we leverage the best of the human mind in terms of creativity? You can give all the tools. You can even give the answers. But if you can't create a product, the creativity comes from human ingenuity of developing a product or developing a service or developing a solution. The creativity is going to be the key. So the creativity doesn't develop because we continue to read books. So you need to have a different experience and mentorship, understanding of different areas of subject and knowledge. So it all comes through. Creativity doesn't pop up because I want to be creative, right? The third thing is empathy as a human being, right? So again, it's not probably the answer you want, but what I'm telling is everybody should know AI, but beyond that, you got to be creative. You need to be a human being first to do anything better in your life. So those are the skills that I would think as a prime three things, yes.
Mr. Sasikumar, what one policy change would immediately accelerate electronics manufacturing in Tamil Nadu?
See, as I said, Tamil Nadu is already leading manufacturing in the state. And today, who is leading all of this is our own women. You know, literally, there is women are the one who are really leading this industry. And then, I mean, there's a very famous saying in Tamil which says, Shakti illayel Sivan illai. So, which means, if I have to translate that to this industry, electronics industry would not exist without women. Meaning, 90% of the industry is today powered by women. So, if only we could help them, work towards empowering them even more on what they're contributing to. Not just, like keeping, I mean, in my own organization when I was the CEO, I had 90% women. But unfortunately, in my own team, it's a shame on me that I could not have even one single woman in the leadership role. Because it's very difficult to find women on the leadership roles, for whatever reason. I mean, societal reasons and all of that. I think that is one thing that the state has to really make sure that we make sure that women are ready for leadership roles, not just for entry-level jobs. I think that is a big policy shift or a change that is required from the state, and this state can do that. Having a lot of empowering activities going on, I'm sure they can do it.
So I'll just add, maybe this state has the highest women participation in the entire country. So if at all, if I say something, the rest of the country or other states should follow Tamil Nadu's model.
That's right.
So that is what, we are the state which continue to empower women from grassroots participation across all the sectors. Not to debate you,
absolutely.
But we are just, we think we are doing phenomenal job in not terms of empowering women, but also including them in the workforce, and participation of women in workforce is significant. Can we do much better? It's always, we should do always much better, right?
Sure.
But there is a larger lesson for not only India, for developing nations to see this model and adopt it. That's how I think about it.
Thank you, gentlemen. One thing is clear from the conversation. Actually, innovation is no longer optional. It is foundational, as Cecil said. So, thank you for joining us, gentlemen. And if we get it right, Tamil Nadu won't just participate in the next wave of growth, it will define it. I thank Cecil. And
thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah.